Welcome back to Niche Bits, where every legend is told one bit at a time. I'm your comic book Detective Echo, and with the Mighty Nein available for streaming on Prime Video, it's a perfect time to explore the origins of the outcasts with troubled pasts, with the next one being Caleb Widogast. Our story begins in Blumenthal, a small township located near Centrum in the Dwendalian Empire. A 15-year-old Bren wakes up late in the morning of his entrance exams. He comes rushing down the stairs fearing he's going to be late, but his parents tell him to have breakfast first. At the table, they discuss how hard the tests are, as no one in recent years has ever been selected from their region. The love for their son is real, but their reality is framed by the obligation and survival to serve the Empire. After Bren leaves, he travels to the test location where children from all over the region wish to partake in the exams. The process, though harsh, it's selective in choosing those who would serve the Empire in the future. After the tests, the supervisor thanks everyone for traveling a long distance to take the exams. He continues by saying that this year's prospects have proven to be exceptional, as more than one student will be selected from the regional exams, and those include Astrid Beck, Edwulf Grieve, and Bren, as they are selected to join the Saltress Academy. Several days later, Bren is outside playing with Frumpkins as he prepares to leave. His worried mother hugs him, as she tells him to write often and to let her know if they ain't feeding him properly. He reassures her that everything will be fine, with his father expecting great things from him. As he gets into the cart, Frumpkins runs behind him, but stops as the cart reaches further away. As the days pass, Bren passes through the countryside until he arrives at Centrum. He spends most of the time sightseeing as he is taken to the academy. And when he arrives, Bren is guided by a senior student who explains that most of the first years are given their own separate rooms. And as they move past the other students, some of the students glance and whisper about him. The senior explains that getting into Saltress is one thing, but staying is another, as the classes are difficult, so he's left to settle down. The following day, Bren joins a class where he is mocked by the other students. Despite this, he studies alone during the day and practices his magic at night. During class, he is often praised by the teachers, and the same students who mocked him now beg for his help. Bren's primary ambition was to become a teacher at the Saltress Academy, but everything changes with the arrival of a new teacher the following week. Archmage Trent takes over the class, beginning his lesson by explaining that magic is not simply memorizing spells from a book, but by having the will and wisdom to wield the magic. So he goes around class monitoring the other students, and is mostly annoyed at how some are distracted, but when he reaches Bren, he translates his name in the old tongue, meaning fire. Bren tells Trent that his parents would often call him Little Spark, and how someday he would shine for the Empire. After class, Trent summons 3 students, Bren, Astrid, and Edwulf, into his office. He singled them out not only because they all come from the same village, but because he is impressed by their discipline and how far ahead they are compared to their classmates. Trent tells them that he sees greatness in each of them, but that such greatness can only bloom through immense pain and absolute dedication. If they wish to serve the Empire, they must be willing to sacrifice everything. The 3 of them accept as they join Trent's Val's Trucker program, his method of shaping young mages into arcane weapons. They cut off their hair, shedding a piece of their past, transforming into something new. They undergo brutal conditioning by forcefully absorbing residuum until they bleed, inhaling it until they are unable to continue. Trent surgically implants the crystals underneath their skin in an attempt to increase their power. During the day, they attend class like normal students, but afterward they return to being Trent's test subjects. One night, Trent locks them in a freezing cell with nothing but the clothes on their backs, forcing them to huddle together for warmth in order to survive. He disguises this psychological torment as training for the good of the Empire. Through this shared hardship, their bond grows stronger. Over time, their bond deepens, eventually growing into an intimate relationship. Bren falls in love with both Astrid and Edwulf, and together they form a polyamorous relationship shaped by their shared suffering and isolation. After they finish their training, Trent is impressed with the trio and decides to give them a night off. They take the opportunity to explore the city, joining the celebrations in the streets. Bren and Astrid share a dance while the three of them choose, for one night, to forget their worries and simply enjoy being together. After their break, Trent summons them back into his office, telling them that they've advanced beyond what they can learn in the academy and offers to teach them. But it's a difficult path as it requires sacrifices. They all accept to continue, with him adding that their instructors have been notified of their departure and they should pack their belongings. Bren's dream of being a teacher seems to have faded under Trent's guidance as they go where their classmates could never follow. Trent takes the trio to his estate, where their training escalates into something far darker. Under his supervision, Bren, Astrid, and Eadwulf are forced to interrogate, torture, and execute supposed enemies of the Empire, acts meant to break their morality and shape them into false truckers. When the assignment is done, the three teenagers wash the blood from their hands in silence. Shaken, terrified, and unsure of who they are becoming, they cling to each other for support, the only solace they have left in Trent's twisted world. The following day, Trent praises their work for managing to eliminate an entire cell of traitors, and for their reward, he shows them what they're training for. He tells the trio that they are being given several days off to travel back home and to visit their families. When they return, he plans to progress into the next level of their training. As they leave the city limits, they reminisce about the days they arrived at the academy and their time being trained by Trent and the shared bond they have. Bren returns home a different boy carrying the responsibility he doesn't yet understand. His mother is the first to greet him, pulling him into a warm embrace, relieved to have her son home again. She asks about the academy, and Bren smiles, stroking Frumpkins as he tells his parents that the academy is wonderful. Everything is going well. His mother prepares a hearty meal, the kind he grew up with, and for a brief moment, Bren lets himself sink into the comfort of home, into a love he hasn't felt in months. He reassures his father that he's doing his best, trying to be useful, trying to make them proud. That night, Bren curls up with Frumpkins beside him, planning to enjoy this peaceful moment. After their leave, the trio returns to the estate, each of them carrying the warmth of time spent with their families. For a moment, they look almost human again, rested, hopeful, and reminded of who they once were. Trent greets them calmly and tells them to sleep, remarking that they must be exhausted from the journey. Trusting him, they return to their rooms and drift off, unaware of what is about to come. That night, Trent begins the final phase of their training. He enters their rooms one by one, forever changing a piece of what they were. The following morning, during breakfast, Trent notices that the trio is quiet at the table. He asks them if they have something they want to say, but before anyone could say anything, Trent asks if they might have seen or heard something during their vacation. One by one, the trio begins to recall a chilling memory, waking in the dead of night to see their parents supposedly conspiring against the Empire. Trent coldly adds that their region has recently been rife with insurrection, and that their families have been under constant watch. Eadwulf lashes out, refusing to believe such accusations, but Bren and Astrid are convinced that the memory is true. Their trust in their parents is shattered. Trent then presents them with an ultimatum. He tells them that, although they are not responsible for the sins of their families, their duty extends beyond blood. They exist to serve the Empire above all else. They ride out the same night, where they each go to their family's home, with Eadwulf strangling his parents to death, followed by Astrid, who poisons hers, leaving Bren as the last one. At 15, Bren left his hometown with his primary ambition to be a teacher, but everything changed when he came under the tutelage of the Archmage Trent. Now, at 17, he's barricading his family inside as he proclaims that everything he's doing is for the Empire as he sets the house on fire. His parents notices the flames. They cry out for anyone to help them. And upon hearing his parents' cries, Bren starts crying as his mind breaks the enchantment. He notices that his memories have been altered with false ones, and in a fit of rage, he attacks Astrid, burning her face in the process. Upon seeing this, Eadwulf bashes Bren with a large stone, knocking him out. They leave him on the ground next to his burning home. As they regroup, explaining to Trent what happened, as the Archmage reassures that he will handle everything, as the two are told to quickly leave the village. The following day, the town ramages through the burnt house as they find the charred remains of his parents and the cat. They demand answers from the catatonic Bren. Trent arrives and begins to use the town's grief and fear to control the narrative that Bren was a troubled student, claiming him to be mad and damaged. He took Bren to be locked up in the Verges Sun Asylum, as he spent the next 11 years in his catatonic state. Astrid visited him once, bearing her own scars, waiting for a response. He is left alone and forgotten by the world until a patient is thrown in his cell. She crawls next to him as she understands his pain, so she touches his face as he recalls everything that happened 11 years ago. Bren plans his escape and thanks the old lady for freeing him from the lies. He attacks the guard assigned to watch over him, taking the Volstrucker necklace that prevents detection as he escapes from the asylum. After escaping, Bren spends the next 5 years stealing and hiding, even taking the appearance of a poor wanderer to avoid notice. In those lonely years, Bren had summoned a fey spirit that took the appearance of Frumpkins, as it provided emotional support and served as his only friend. During his time hiding, Bren adopted numerous aliases to hide, until one day he is questioned by a drunken Tarvan drinker who accuses him of theft, but not wanting to draw attention is taken into a room until the guards come. Inside the room, he meets a goblin hiding behind the crates. He assures he means her no harm with the goblin, asking if the people outside made up an excuse to throw him in here. The goblin introduces herself as not the brave. Bren, who is still hiding, calls himself Caleb Widogast as they plan to escape their prison. And that is the origin of Bren, or Caleb Widogast, a character shaped not only by the guilt of his parents' deaths, but also by a relentless commitment to ensure no other child suffers the same fate he did. Caleb's story reminds us that guilt doesn't always come from what you've done, but often from what you were made to believe. Thank you for watching this Origins breakdown of Caleb Widogast. Tune in next time as we cover Jester, as I will see you in the next one.